where we could kick off is the genesis of the idea to start TransferGo, because it looks like you started it fairly early on after graduating, maybe a couple of years out of college. How did you come up with the idea?
Frustration with
Hmm.
traditional banking when it comes
Hmm.
to cross-border payments. I think this frustration back in 2010 was shared by many, both on a macro side, but also on a per product side. Banks were just not equipped to deal with cross-border payments. And
Hmm.
we had a business with international supply chain, and it was just a nightmare. So we effectively found a way for our own business to move money slightly differently. And then we saw that we can actually use this to solve a problem for millions out there, not just us.
Hmm. And because I think the other tools people are using now is like a PayPal or something similar. Maybe there's like a bank option that they could use, but it is cumbersome and it is costly. I think the first thing people are ask is like, how much does this cost to send? Um, are you able to kind of help reduce that cost?
Yeah, so the fundamental idea is that we are not sending individual transactions cross-border. So we bypass traditional systems altogether. And that's the main reason why transactions are up to 90% cheaper than SWIFT transactions or traditional banking transactions.
Hmm.
And they're also instant 24/7. And our model is local in, local out. So we receive the money locally, wherever you live, and when we pay out money locally, wherever your recipient lives.
Hmm.
So individual transactions do not move cross-border, and that really bypasses the systems and bypasses the cost.
Hmm. And so are you aggregating transfers? How does it actually get done in an efficient way?
Well, to do that, we had to build our own clearinghouse.
Hmm.
And that's a fancy word for having hundreds and thousands of accounts everywhere in the world and managing a sophisticated pool of liquidity everywhere where we work
Mm.
uh, to make sure. But from a customer standpoint, it's you come in, you book a transfer, you pay instantly, and within seconds you get the point that your receiver got the money.
Uh-huh.
That's as simple as it is. But in order to deliver that, there is quite a bit of a back end operation that needs to take place.
Right. And are most of the folks on your platform, are they transferring money to family members overseas, across borders, or is this like paying for work that's being performed remotely?
Our core proposition is cross-border.
Mm.
Cross-border for economic migrants, cross-border for diaspora, cross-border for expats, cross-border for businesses. Everything that touches a conversion, everything that goes cross-border, that's where we focus on.
Hmm.
And we are connecting pretty much Europe and the UK with the rest of the world with instant connectivity.
Hmm. Can you give us a sense for kind of maybe how you've been able to grow the business? Obviously, there's a huge need. There's so much in this area of remittances. I know I'd spoken to the founder of Remitly a long time ago when he was getting his business started, and that's grown tremendously. And I think he started perhaps in the Philippines, or that was one of the areas he focused on. Obviously, he's from the West Coast of the US, but have you seen similar type growth?
So we are doing similar to what those guys only were doing Europe cent. And
Hmm.
the difference between Europe, UK, and the US, we are maybe 5 orders of magnitude more fragmented.
Mm.
So we have 25, 26 different countries, different regimes, different compliance regulation. So you multiply that by 150 receive destinations,
Mm.
and you end up with 1,600 different delivery corridors
Hmm.
moving money from A to B. So now 1,600. We started with one,
Hmm. Hmm.
which was UK to Lithuania a very, very long time ago.
Hmm.
We nailed that one, then another, then another. And so we had to become really good at international expansion because Europe has a lot of small markets with a lot of, so we had to be quite good at that. So that was sort of a markets were driving some of our strategy as well.
Uh-huh. Could you give us a sense for the scale of the business currently?
Yeah, so we have now between 8 and 9 million registered customers on the platform.
Hmm.
We move around. 12 million transactions every year.
Hmm.
And we're servicing, and seeing moving quite small transactions, but fairly high frequency. So average customer makes more than 30 transactions per year with us. So it's
Hmm.
a high engagement play, and quite frequent transactions as well.
How have you seen the growth year over year?
So over maybe 5 year horizon, we've seen maybe an average of 20-25% that
Mm-hmm.
we've been growing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we lived through turbulent times. We lived through, as everybody, through recessions, through uh, COVID, through now Ukrainian war, and we have a large sending business to Ukraine. So macro has really impacted the business, sometimes accelerating, like COVID. We've seen surges during COVID because cash was no longer available for people and there
Mm-hmm.
was mass digitization. Then we've seen a contraction during war because people have less money to send. But overall, the trend is, the market is growing at 14% compounded growth rate, right? So if you're good, you can grow faster than that if you can deliver superior experiences. And that's roughly what we're seeing, a premium on that market growth for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at kind of like the revenue pie, is there a large portion that's going from one geography to another? So like predominantly it's like UK to pick a country.
Yeah, some depth is inevitable because we are a consumer brand. So our goal is to become the most trusted consumer brand per community, then go deep and then go to the next and the next. So there is some dependency. I think at this point we've become a multi-regional player when it comes to transaction split. So we have largest markets are Eastern Europe, within Europe, Ukraine, Turkey, West Africa. I'll
Mm-hmm.
say these are the four markets. Now, within them, there are certain also dependencies, but roughly that's where we see growth. And Central Asia most recently. So we're seeing, like, whoever is coming to Europe, we're seeing pretty much growth there. And so we're trying to keep that balance between depth and horizontal expansion so we can serve multiple communities at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I imagine a lot of the marketing is word of mouth.
Yes. So I would say around 50% of our users are through either paid or unpaid word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it really, has been consistent across the years.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because this is a very important part of one's financial transactions.
Right.
And people are searching for a brand they can trust. And trust is best scaled when it's someone else used it and can give a good reference. So that's 100%.
Is there a simple example you could give us on like the cost savings? So, for example, 100 pounds, you want to send it from UK to Ukraine. How much cheaper is it? What are the other advantages from using your service versus PayPal or another provider?
Yeah. So our service offers a variety of different pay-ins and payouts depending on what's your preference.
Hmm.
So when I talk about pricing, I can talk about the averages, but I can also talk about the lowest cost point that we have,
Hmm.
depending on how you want to use the service. And that's important. So for Ukraine, right now, you can send money back to Ukraine from Europe and UK for as low as 1.5%.
Hmm.
Now, the averages for the market for the digital side are somewhere between 5 and 7%.
Hmm.
Go for some of the Western Union or MoneyGram Cash, it's not very clear pricing, and it can go up to much more than that.
Hmm.
So, that's as low. But then there is, depending on, if you want to pay in with a card or you want to pay in with open banking, then it varies depending on which option you would prefer as
Hmm.
as a consumer.
Hmm. How transparent is the pricing? Because I think where things get confusing is how much the exchange rate is influencing the actual end result, that the money actually going into the recipient's account.
Yeah. So for years we've been looking into this question ourselves to find the right balancing act between transparency to the user and clarity to the user as well.
Hmm.
Because users are taught to think about pricing in certain ways.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's difficult to change that behavior. So the way we are looking at pricing is through a guaranteed destination amount. With
Hmm.
us, you can always reference us against anybody else. If you just go on our site, enter how much you want to send, the amount that you see there will be the amount that you will get.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's no extra, no hidden fees. That's the amount. So
Hmm.
that's how we solve this problem. Others are doing it by showing it in total fee, but ultimately, what you want to know is how much money you'll get at the end of the day.
Right.
That's our approach to transparency.
Hmm. Excellent. Investors, you've raised, I think, over $100 million. You've done, a variety of rounds. Can you tell us a little bit about your investors, maybe the more kind of influential ones, and how they've helped your company aside from just financial capital?
Yeah. So our two anchor investors have been VEF, public Swedish fund,
Hmm.
um, Hard American investor, very good investor, long-standing investor, a family office that became a fund, and then early stage, our first investor is Practica Capital, which is a Lithuanian-based investor. Without that investor, would not be here.
Hmm.
So they probably helped us the most
Uh-huh.
because they gave us a chance 12 years back, and they trusted that we can go out and compete against banks with a 150K check.
Right.
So that was a while back, and then VEF and then Hardjaka came in, and sort of one thing led to another. I think all of our investors are either tech or financially focused. They're market focused pretty much because you have to be able to navigate emerging markets. You have to be able to understand the complexities of financial services because they're different to software as a service. They're different because you also have regulation. You have to have permission where you go. So navigating that reality is tricky, and you have to have investors who understand both that complexity and timeframes that are required to build something. You know,
Hmm.
at PayPal.
Hmm.
PayPal is like 25 years in the making because
Hmm.
it takes time with all the resources in the world, right? So I think time frame and know-how has been critical.